Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Wild Wednesday. Yes, folks, it is already hump day. Happy hump day to each and every one of you. And then first and foremost, let's wish everybody a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk on top of that, because life really is too short as is. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I love seeing each and every one of you every Monday through Friday, permitting my schedule and, of course, major holidays. But either way, I definitely am. I try to be here every Monday through Friday, no matter what. I try to give you guys that extra attention, to give you guys some love and show you guys whatever stupid movie it is that I'm blabbering on about for the day. So yeah, and then also do me a huge favor and check out the description box. There's more information in there, such as your brief synopsis, starring cast, director, runtime of the cut I'm watching, MPAA rating, if there is one that exists, some trivia if there's anything worthwhile of mentioning, and then of course a link for a trailer or a scene from the movie itself. Now, today's movie was a little bit of a tough one when it came to the trailer. I found one, and I found it through the label it is distributed from. It is from Severin itself, under the Intervision label, and is none other than Secret Life of Jeffrey Dahmer, which came out in 1993. But back to what I was saying about the trailer. The trailer is like 8 minutes long. I only recommend watching like a minute or two of it, and you got the gist. It's Jeffrey Dahmer. It's something that went down in history as an extremely horrific event, a series of events that Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer, had done, including decapitations, dismemberments, cannibalism, things of that nature and such. But either way, this is definitely a very good release of this. It is one that I highly, highly, highly recommend. Like I said earlier, this is under the Intervision label, which is a sub-label for the Severin label, if you know anything about that. As far as any special features in here, you do have a running audio commentary, which is really, really nice. And then you have a trailer for it, and then you have trailers for 3 other movies as well. So there's not a ton of special features, which it's one that I wouldn't expect to. It is a standard issue press DVD, and it does come in this nifty white case, just to let you know. Get out of there, suckerfish. And then, as you see here, it is a 0 reversible artwork on that one. So as far as the release goes itself, it's not anything super impressive. It's the only way I know of to get this movie. It's probably available on a really old VHS if you look hard enough, but I imagine a lot of you aren't going to do that. I don't blame you, because VHS quality is not quite the best. Even on this DVD, the quality isn't the best. I imagine this is one that will never get like a handy-dandy Blu-ray special edition, because it is so... the quality of it isn't quite the best. I imagine its film elements weren't taken care of the best. So it probably, is going to go down as one of those that it's only available on like I said, DVD or VHS, one of those ordeals. Now, anything else as far as the release goes? I talked about the quality of it is a little poor. It almost feels like it's been shot on video, even though it's not. It's fun, though. I highly recommend it. What exactly is it about? It's about the exploits of Jeffrey Dahmer, the infamous serial killer from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yes. it goes over the beginning of the story to where um, he kills his very first victim and all the way up until his final victim, and it shows several of those victims go through their scenes where they die, and it gets very it's very disturbing. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things that I feel like they did an amazing job with this movie, getting it together. Like I said, it came out back in 1993. Jeffrey Dahmer was caught in 91 on 7/22 of 91. It's July 22nd of 1991, if memory serves me correctly. But he was definitely, it was July in 1991. But either way, this was made. They started production on this in 1992, and had it out and done in the can by 1993 for release. Now, this release was. This one was filmed in secret. It was not supposed to necessarily be made at that moment yet, because Jeffrey Dahmer, there was a whole thing about should he make money off of his life story, things like that, and they made it to where serial killers or people that are horrible, despicable people cannot benefit off of the stories of their lives. And so this was made in secret at the times, because there really wasn't a anything going on for as far as at the time for serial killer movies that were on this level, as far as real movies. The last one before this would have been Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, that is loosely based on Henry Lee Lucas, which that one's probably the greatest one of all time. That one is absolutely stunning. I would put this in top 5 for sure. There's only a couple of Dahmer movies that have been made. There's this one. There's Dahmer that stars Jeremy Renner, which is an absolutely stunning film as well. I highly recommend that. Amazing acting, top-notch quality all the way around. That one's got a Blu-ray, by the way. Definitely check that out. And then there's also that movie, I can't remember, it's like Friends with Dahmer, My Friend Jeffrey Dahmer, or something like that. It's about somebody who knew him throughout high school, and trying to give a little more of a backstory on why is he the way he is, which we'll never ever know, because it much like what happens in this movie, we never ever will know if it's true, or if anything's really true or not, because he died before he could really confess to everything. He was brutally murdered in prison, which, I'm all for justice. Oh, that was beautiful. But I would have liked to have heard more to his story as to why he is who he is, how he became the way he is, and so on and so forth. It's very interesting how it works out. And now, like I said, this one was made in secret back in 1991, or 92, excuse me. There was the 2 other Dahmer movies I talked about. This one, I would say, is probably on par with the Jeremy Renner one. I can't tell you anything about the high school one because I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's kind of a snooze fest. Either way, I'll eventually check it out. But definitely do a little research on Dahmer afterwards or beforehand, and you'll get to see. You'll I guess know a little more on Jeffrey Dahmer if you do not know anything about him. It'll give you a 100% better insight than I ever could, because I'm no Jeffrey Dahmer expert. I just know he killed, what was it, 17 people in his lifetime. Two of those were outside of his apartment complex, if memory serves me correct, because he killed one when he was like 16 or 17, 18-ish years old. Was kind of one of those things. His reasoning for killing people in this is because he didn't want to let them go. He wanted to keep them around. It is very it's kind of a sad story a little bit as well. It almost makes you think, if he would have had a more of a loving lifestyle, who knows, he could have never turned into a serial killer. But that's remain to be. That's one of those things that's, it's nature over nurture. That's one of the biggest arguments when it comes to serial killers. Are they born that way, or does the way they're raised make them who they are? And so some people think that the way Dahmer was raised is one of those things, because he lived with his grandmother after his parents divorced, and that's when he started to really get into his fascination with death and things like that. He would harm animals, kill animals, things of that nature. And then, like I said, he eventually kills his first victim, which I think, if memory serves me, he hits him over the head with a set of weights. But he eventually, what he does is dispose the body, chops it up in little pieces. But he keeps the head for a while. That's one of his things that he definitely did. He kept body parts. Heads were definitely one of them, skulls. Because when they arrest him in this movie, there's a couple skulls in the house, or in the apartment complex, in the apartment itself. And then there's like a couple of heads in the refrigerator, like one in the ice box, one in the freezer, and one in the refrigerator, something along those lines. So it definitely it shows. That's one of those things that he repeat, like a thing that comes up a lot with him, is keeping heads of his victims. And they go over how he would lure these victims in with promises of money, and some of them were promises of sex. There was some connection there, some attraction between some of them, which he usually went for younger boys, like between the ages. He went from, like, I think it was like 17 to early 20s, because he did lure a lot of guys from a lot of his victims from the bar, and he would drug them at his house. He would, offer them a couple $100 if they come over to his house and take nudie pics and things like that with him. It's that was his way of luring a lot of these victims in, and they really portray that in a good fashion with this one. It really makes sense on how it is. Sorry, I didn't have that closed. I just noticed it out of the corner of my eye that the case was open, and that I needed to shut that. Which, by the way, this is not. I didn't damage this. This is how it comes. It's part of the artwork. But either way, where was I going? How he lures the victims in. How is his not roommates, but his fellow people that live in the neighbors that live in the same apartment complex are constantly complaining about smells coming out of his house, which I don't blame them, because the guy kept body parts and he cannibalized them. He also even unwillingly, or no, he did. He fed people body parts and like sandwiches and like meatloaf type stuff. He would do that and to get rid of, not only get rid of the victims, but it is also kind of a final fuck you, in my opinion, to his victims and his neighbors. But he would feed these body parts to people without them even knowing. And I know that there's this notorious not notorious, there's this lady where she talks about how she was fed a sandwich and she ate some barbecue from Jeffrey, at one point. They don't really talk about that in this movie, but because it wasn't really a well talked about, known part of the story itself at that moment. But that's one of those things that you find out later in history that he was doing that. And there's a lady that she comes up in reoccurring documentaries and things like that about Dahmer, as telling the story of eating the sandwich with Jeffrey Dahmer. So that shows another side of his character, that he was even sick to the point to where he was feeding people body parts. Yes, yes, yes. This is a very, very good one. I highly recommend it. As far as any kind of like ratings on the technical side, it's not very well made. It is very poor made. There is terrible, terrible acting. Carl Crew is the bright and shining star of the movie as Jeffrey Dahmer himself. But he still 100% isn't the best actor. The only other movie I know him from is Blood Diner, which I reviewed like a year ago or something like that. That movie, check it out. Not just my review, but the movie. Either way, but he's the bright shining star of the movie. There's not a whole lot of memorable things that I would say are of great merit. Like the editing is off point. It's very choppy. It picks up and goes down, picks up and goes down. It gets really boring in places, to where the story like almost screeches to a halt, to start over again. Not really start the movie over in a fashion, but start another victim over again. That's the way they kind of did it in places. It was a little strange the way it was done. It was the director, David R. Bowen. This was his only film that he directed. He was supposed to be the composer of it, by the way, and then he ended up getting the directing job. But this is his only film that he directed, and I can kind of see why, because there is some bad direction going on in here. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 as far as the technical side goes. But as far as an entertainment side goes, I'm going to give this one another 3 out of 5. This is probably a 5 out of 10 kind of movie. Maybe a 6, depending on how much you are into the Jeffrey Dahmer serial killer stuff. I know somebody that is Jeffrey Dahmer file, and she loves to read up and see stuff on Jeffrey Dahmer, and this is one I highly recommend for anybody that is into him. All right, guys, love your faces. I'll see you tomorrow with another necrophilia movie. Actually, it's one from back in the day. It's a classic. And Friday I got an awesome action type science fiction cult classic type movie coming in for you. So I'll check you guys tomorrow, and have a nice day, and peace.